Good news, Fred. I've been working on my comedy act again.
Oh, no.
Let me ask you this. What do Winnie the Pooh and Ivan the Terrible have in common?
I don't know.
They both have the same middle name.
Hey, I just, does my hair look okay? I just combed it with a fork.
Live from Studio 3, and then heavily edited for content, it's Bucco Banter. Introducing your hosts. Originally from somewhere near Newcastle and now being a good husband and father when he's not running off by himself to PNC Park, it's Fred Rossano. A Pittsburgh Pirates fan since before he was born and still residing in his parents' basement when he's not sleeping in the Pirates clubhouse, it's Matthew Peaslee. Finally, he may look like a piece of plastic on a stick, but he has a life of his own, and he's the real expert on Bucco Banter. It's Pirate Panda!
Welcome back to Bucco Banter. My name is Matthew Peaslee, joined as always by
Fred Rossano.
And Fred, we got some pretty good things going on with the Pirates, but the real good news is we have new microphone socks.
Woo!
Good in black and
I tell
gold.
you, compliments to the people who behind the scenes of Bucco Banter, because I'm sure no expenses were spared for these. Is that what you call them, socks?
No, they're socks. Oh, yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Mittens, maybe? Mittens?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, that doesn't matter. What does matter is that the Pirates are playing really good baseball. Had a tough stretch against some good teams, and they did pretty well in that. And back home at PNC Park and looking pretty good as they get to the end of August.
Yeah, they wound up playing the first-place team in all three divisions, and came out 7-2, I think it was.
8-3, I think. Or 7-2, yeah.
Yeah, because they had the one rain out. But yes, right now, and this brings up a lot of questions about the format of the playoffs. And I realize these things can change; they could change within the next week. But right now, you have the Cardinals, the Pirates, and the Cubs, 3 out of the top 4 teams in the
NL Central,
and the whole major league.
And they're the best teams,
and they're the best teams in the National League. And you're going to, knock on wood, you're going to have 2 of those teams play for a wild card, possibly, if they don't catch. One of them doesn't catch the Cardinals. But what are you supposed to do in that situation? You're not going to change the rules in mid-season or whatever. It's just one of those things.
They've brought that up. People have said that maybe we should change it in the near future. I don't think that'll ever happen. They're not going to go to 2 leagues or just every man for himself in the National League. But the Pirates do very well against the East teams and the West teams, but they still have a losing record against their own Central.
That's not a good sign if they can't beat teams in their own division, because pretty much all of September, or for the most part, will be nothing but Central Division teams.
When the 3 best teams in the Central, or the 3 best teams in the National League are in the Central, it's kind of hard to win a lot of those games when everyone's beating up on each other, and they're all pretty good. And again, the Brewers and the Reds always give each other fits too, so there's no easy games, no matter who you play.
Yep. But it was a crazy couple weeks. A lot of extra inning games, a lot of nail biters over the last couple weeks, and it was one the other night was with Pedro Florimon getting the big hit in the was it 15th inning?
15th inning, yeah.
And I fell asleep. It must have been 1 second before I woke up. It was still groggy. I turned on, the TV was still on, and it was in the bottom of 15th, and Cervelli had just gotten ahead.
Yeah,
and I heard Tim Neverett say, well, you hope Florimon does better than he did a couple innings ago when he failed to bunt. Yeah. And I clicked off the TV, and I went to bed and didn't turn it back on. So I went to bed that night thinking, did they win? Did they win? Did they lose? Did they win? How many innings did it go? Did the pitching get beat up again? But because I replayed it again with Tim Neverett, and the second after he said that, must have been obviously on the next pitch.
Yeah, right.
He wound up getting the winning hit.
Right to the Clemente wall, off the Clemente wall, on Roberto Clemente's birthday.
Yes, it's true.
Nice baseball moment. That just shows how great a game baseball is. Little moments like that. But Pirates have been coming through in big spots. Different players have been stepping up, like Florimon, and Sean Rodriguez having 3 hits one night, and everything's Pedro Alvarez and Gregory Polanco playing a lot better too. It's good to see. There's
a lot of it is their hitting is coming around now, as opposed to the starting pitching. I mean, their relief pitching has still been solid, but their starting pitching has been a little bit shaky. But their hitters have come around.
Yeah, even in
their offense has come around.
The one game against the Diamondbacks where they only scored 1 run, they still left like 10 or 11 on base.
They had a good chance of winning that game.
Yeah, but they're in position to win games, and they did in the last 2 games against the Diamondbacks. And Jay Happ pitched pretty well. He had that one start when he first came to the Pirates, where I think it was against the Cubs and got roughed up, but played well against the Mets and had another great outing. So he could be a really cornerstone for the rotation moving forward.
And we hope so. We'll see in the next coming weeks here. I think they play. They have the 4 big ones coming up against the Giants, and they could put a pretty good nail in the coffin of the Giants if they come through. But you never know.
Yep.
You never know from one game to the next, 1 week to the next.
2 more months of the season left, and 2 more segments of Bucco Banter left. So stay tuned for what we got coming up next.
And now it's time for 3 for 3 with Matt and Fred. We are back now with a popular segment called 3 for 3. And I'll start it off this time.
But is it really more popular than the other ones?
They're all popular.
Yeah, they're all...
I mean, we're popular. Yeah. My first for 3 for 3 is Travis Snider returns. Well, I think he's returning.
Yeah, well.
The Pirates haven't officially said that yet, but I think it's pretty much. And they wind
minor
up,
league deal.
Yeah, in the minor league deal, they won't have to move anybody from the roster. But he's a good guy to have back, and I'm sure the players. I mean, he probably obviously isn't going to come up until September 1st because they'd have to do something then. But beyond that, I mean, they wound up once again Neil Huntington and
winning those trades.
Yeah, and both of those pitchers are pitching pretty good, especially
and Lowe.
Tarpley.
Yeah, Lowe,
real good.
Tarpley and Brolt, I think is the other guy's name. And when we got Travis Snider from the Blue Jays, we gave up Brad Lincoln. We got Brad Lincoln back too.
Yeah, what happened? Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think of that.
He was started the year in AAA. I think he was hurt, but I'm thinking he's still owned by the Pirates in some regard, and I
haven't heard anything about him since early on.
I'm pretty sure he's still in the bullpen of the Indianapolis Indians. But and it begs the question too. So, if Snider was with the Pirates at the beginning of the year, when he was playing pretty well, and the Pirates were losing some production in right field when Polanco was slumping, what if we would have had Snider in there to fill in occasionally for Polanco?
I don't think it would have been. I mean, hindsight is 20/20. No. You can't really look back on it, but I didn't know. I would have liked to have had. It was one of those trades that he had said before that sort of fell into their lap, and that because the Orioles had given up or had let Markakis go, and they were and plus Nelson Cruz.
He was with the Mariners now.
So they were desperate for outfielders, and
all right, and it worked, and we got 2 good pitchers who could probably be in the rotation in 2 to 3 years.
Hopefully. That would be doubly good. But, it's a good acquisition. I'm sure the players, like seeing him back because he was a good guy in the locker room and stuff. But
so you got Travis Snider back and Pedro Florimon gone. Down to AAA, designated for assignment. We'll see if he ends up clearing waivers, going back to the Indians. But you had to see it coming, even though he was the hero in one game. But
if it wouldn't have gone 15 innings, that wouldn't have happened.
He probably wouldn't have even played.
Yeah,
but they just called him. They called him the defensive specialist, and because we needed him at shortstop with Gong playing okay at shortstop, but there's really no and Rodriguez getting a couple reps there, but he was just there for infield depth, and obviously not that good with the bat, but.
I think he was only batting 65 or something.
He had his moment. He had his Drew Sutton moment. Remember Drew Sutton?
Oh, yeah. He won a game for
him. He had a walk-off home run. Then he was gone about a week after that, too. So
Drew Sutton. That was what, already 3 years ago?
2012 or 2013. So.
Wow, I forgot all about him.
Well, you got these role players like that to do something like that. It's good for them to have a moment like that, and maybe they catch on somewhere else. But Florimon paid his dues and
he might still be with the organization anyway. He'll be like Vance Worley still back with the organization.
Next one.
My second is why baseball is great. Actually, that's 4 words. We'll say
why baseball's great.
Right. And it's the fact that you never know from one game to the next. Whatever going into that series with the Mets, we had, I think it was Morton, Happ, and Locke over the weekend series. And I got to admit, now and 99% of the other people, if they're honest with themselves, did you think we would come out of that winning 3 games?
No.
That's why. You never know from one game to the next. Mm-hmm. Most sports, you have a pretty good hunch, unless somebody gets hurt, like in football, basketball. Yeah. You have a pretty good idea if your best is going against the worst, and the best is probably going to prevail all the time. Baseball's different. It's with whatever your next day starting pitcher is, and all 3 of them did a nice job. And they could have lost a couple of those games, but they won a couple of them in extra innings or late. But that's why I think it's the best sport. You just never can predict what can happen from one game to the next or one inning to the next.
The players themselves don't even know. They get asked all the time, "Well, what did you see at the plate? What was happening?" So I just put a good swing on it. There's no explanation for it.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for something. I was just looking for something to drive. Whatever. You hear all the cliches all the time.
But it's probably the truth for them.
But even the game that went 15 innings the other night, you're winning 8-3. Yeah. In the 8th inning. And you have your best pitchers out there. Yeah. Did you ever think that game would end up 8-8 with the way it ended in the 9th inning with Gong making an error and then
Rodriguez
booting the ball there or whatever, ricocheting off him and getting the tying run? You just never know.
And you hate to see that as a blown save for Melanson, where it wasn't really his fault, but he still got charged with a blown save on that. My next one is Fire and Emotion. Back to that 15-inning game where TV shot into the dugout and Jung Ho Gong takes off his helmet and flings at bubblegum because he grounded into the double play, and he was probably just upset too that he muffed the ball before that at third base.
And somebody got hit. Remember Upton the other day threw his helmet the same way,
and it hit some
guy.
It
almost caused the guy to get a concussion.
But with the Pirates specifically, it's good to it's almost good to see that from Gong. I mean, he's still a new player.
Yeah. By the way, what was that? How about in the dugout when they were going?
What for Gong?
That? Yeah,
they go like this.
What does that mean?
I don't. Every time he hits a home run, they go like this.
I still don't know what this means either.
Well, and they won't tell you. They asked Shorty Mercer what that was about. And him and Neil Walker have their own thing at the end of games where they put their gloves out and they go like this. And it was a Twitter Tuesday question where they asked him what it's about. And he says, "I can't tell you. It's our own little secret." He won't even say what this is about either. But there's something behind it, and there's something behind Gong's celebration too. But that's just why baseball's great.
And the World Series is over.
That's why baseball's great. They don't need it. We don't need to know what goes on in there. They win the games, they play the games, and they have their own shticks that go with it, just like we do on Bucco Banter.
Yes.
But Fire and Emotion, good to see Gong getting fired up, and obviously we win the game there, but you don't want anybody to take it overboard, like Justin Upton if he ends up hitting somebody in the head with a thrown helmet. But you'll never see Pedro Alvarez doing something like that. Each player has their own reactions to shortcomings, and just because Pedro doesn't show the emotion doesn't mean he gets fed up and all that with his own performances.
My final is they're finally listening. Thank you for listening to me. It's good to see that Clint Hurdle and I don't know who else, maybe some of the other coaches are finally they're actually watching Bucco Banter. Maybe Neil Huntington, maybe Bob Nutting, maybe Coonley. But lefties batting against lefties. That's all I've been preaching all year. You got to bat lefties against lefties. You're not going to be a bona fide superstar in this league unless you bat your left-handed hitters against left-handers. And guess what? Both Alvarez and Polanco are now hitting lefties.
Playing very well.
Because they're batting against lefties. And miraculously, they're getting hits. Woo! They're getting hits against lefties. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
All around, they're playing much better than they were. People wanted to acquire an outfield bat and a new first baseman. We basically did in a revamped Pedro Alvarez and a revamped Gregory Polanco playing very well.
They're listening. They listened to me because I kept saying you have to do this.
You were falling on deaf ears, but then,
that's right. You didn't listen to me. Nobody on the set here. Did you listen?
No.
You? How about you? No. See, nobody on this set here.
McCutcheon did.
The key grip. But it's good to see both of them are hitting, getting some big hits against lefties, and that can only bode well if they should, face a lefty. If knock on wood, and they make the playoffs, and they're going against a John Lester or a Bumgardner or
Arrieta.
Is he left-handed?
I don't know.
But or Kershaw.
No. Okay.
But we will see. But good to see them all doing well, or both of them doing well against lefties.
My last one is dominate the West, and the Pirates are getting ready they're going to be in the middle of a series with the Giants, and they swept the Giants earlier in the year, but now this series is back at PNC Park. They're 16-3 entering this Giants series against West teams. Just imagine if let's move Pittsburgh to Sacramento or something, and we can play in there and dominate those teams and be in first place. But they're doing well against the Dodgers. They wrapped up that good series against the Diamondbacks. Padres, we had 2 series against them and did pretty well. So it's hard to tell. And then doing well against the East, but just having struggles with those good teams in the Central. Just can't win those, but you need to if we want to be in a good playoff position.
That's going to have to change somewhere along the lines. Next, how many games they have left
against the Central?
Yeah,
most of them throughout September.
Yep.
Cut.
Ask the experts. Ask the experts. Ask the experts. Ask the experts.
It's time for Ask the Experts, but we don't have any questions.
Oh, I guess we do.
I guess we do now. Wonder where those came from.
We got 4 of them here.
4, wow. Late breaking.
All right.
I'll ask you a question. Question number 1. Have you guys given up on the Pirates catching the Cardinals? Janice of Pittsburgh.
Absolutely not. Although it seems like it's insurmountable because every time the Pirates, I think they've been down to maybe 4.5.
4.5. 2 right before the All-Star break.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But it's been 4.5.
Right after the All-Star break is when they sort of stumbled a little bit. But you remember a couple years ago? I think 2 teams. It was Tampa Bay. And it was another team. I think it was the Cardinals.
Okay.
They were way back. They were both at least 10 games out with a month left. I think it was September 1st. And they both won their divisions, or they both locked up a playoff spot on the final day of the year after being 10 games. It was like one in each league. And that just shows you. Yes, the Pirates are what? 5 games out?
5.5, yeah. 5 games now, yeah. It could.
What team could what team hasn't lost 5 in a row? Or it could very easily happen. You can make up they could lose 7 in a row. The Pirates could win 7 in a row.
And the Cubs aren't out of it either.
No, no, and the Giants aren't out of it. And technically, if you look in the American League, you would see there's a bunch of teams still in the wild card race. Twins, Tampa
Orioles,
Bay. Many teams there, but you play. It's a cliche, but you play every game.
Yeah, and we have said that we want the Cardinals to come back down to earth, and they really haven't.
Their pitching is tough. That little blip when the Pirates scored 10 against them. Very rarely is that going to happen. Although
they almost ended up. They came back in that game too.
Although I think they still keep hit by injuries, but no, I don't think in any way, shape, or form. They're going to continue the same way that they said last year. We'll continue to fight this out until we're eliminated, and that's all you can do. You can't look behind, ahead of you because somebody's always catching you from behind. But no way. Here's your first one.
Okay.
Do you believe the Pirates will still make a trade before the end of August? Mark of Dallas Pike.
I don't think so. We thought maybe they could have pulled one of those waiver deals, like Chase Utley going from the Phillies to the Dodgers, clearing waivers. I don't think so. I think they still like the position they're in. We said maybe they'd go out and get a pitcher, maybe one of those Padres starters that could eventually come. But I think they found their back-end reliable starter in J. Happ. I think they're pretty good in the field, too. When we get Josh Harrison and Jordy Mercer back here pretty soon, that's going to be like acquiring two new infielders. So they're going to have enough questions as it is on where you put Gong, where you put Ramos Ramirez, where you're going to put Josh and Jordy.
They're good problems to have.
Yeah, so I don't think they need anything else. I don't think they're even going to explore it.
I think they were trying to do that, but also they're the second best team in the National League, so that's just the National League. It would have to go through 13 other teams would have to pass or not, make an attempt before it could get to them. But as opposed to a couple years ago when they got Marlon Byrd and Justin Morneau. Yeah. But I think I think they've tried. But again, it's one of those situations where it would be very difficult at this point.
Right, and they're in a good position now.
Yeah.
Will A.J. Burnett pitch effectively before season's end? Ray of Wellsburg.
I would say I sure hope so. I know he's been throwing some pitches in bullpen sessions there under Ray Searage. When he comes back, I don't know. It could be one of those things. This is what I'm afraid of with Burnett. He might, keep pushing that he's okay, and he may not be.
Yeah.
I mean, just because he's such a competitor, he might want to get back out there again and give it a shot. But you never know how he's going to do. But I don't know. It'd have to be that he's healthy and he could help them. And it isn't like something where he's ending his career for a team that's in last place. You're fighting for a division title right now, and you can't afford to send somebody out there who's hurt. It could make hurt. I mean, I'm sure Burnett could care less that if he blows out his arm the next time for the rest of his life there or whatever. I mean, he looks at it that way, but you still can't, you can't take that chance.
Right.
And the final question of the day. It's a two-part question with Burnett. If J. Happ continues to pitch effectively, what do you do with A.J. Burnett? Kai of Richmond.
It might be a situation there like the 2013 Division Series. They gave the ball to Cole instead of Burnett. They might be giving the ball to Happ more than they give it to A.J. in the month of September. Interesting question because obviously A.J.'s going to want that starting position back. You got to give it to him. You got to give him at least one start. And I mean, then I don't know if it would hurt.
Then what do you do if he? I mean, it would be a great problem to have if Burnett pitches good.
And even they skipped Happ's start because they were able to the one time. I mean, maybe to give him a little bit more rest after he got bombed his first game with the Pirates. So I think you can afford to skip Happ for Burnett, but. If AJ comes in and pitches as effectively as he did in one given outing in the first half of the season, and Happ still I'm sure Happ will get another turn in the rotation before AJ even comes back. But
it'd be again because he's such a competitor. It would be a tough decision. You're going to want to maybe throw him out there one time.
Yeah,
and if he does bad. That's fine. If he does good, then you're going to probably want to throw him back out there and maybe have J. Happ as a long reliever along with Vance Worley. They said he's been stretching out his arm again to come in there in case they need him to start.
Very interesting. And we say it every time. We like the position the Pirates are in, but this is.
I think they're at their high point of the season now.
Over 71 wins and. Over 20 above 500.
I think they're 24. It could be 24 over 500.
Very good. It's fun. It's definitely fun.
We will see you next time.
Wait a minute. I'm getting a text message. It's from Kutch.
It is?
Yeah. We have a correction to make.
I have a correction.
I have a correction to make. He wanted to tell me personally when we were referring to the first base celebration. We said it was unknown. Yeah. Andrew McCutcheon says that they discovered that in Washington, D.C. at Nationals Park. Old Nationals player Dimitri Young would do that.
Him.
Would do that. Big, fat guy would always do that, and they got a kick out of it.
I'm sure he'd be happy to hear you say that he's a big fat
He's large, if he's listening. But they did that. They saw a picture of Dimitri Young doing this, and they got a kick out of it.
So it's stolen, in other words. Oh, well, so the other one was
We're pirates. We're allowed to steal.
Yeah, that's true. So was Zoltan.
Yeah. So on that note, we now know that Dimitri Young is the reason for the Pirates' success this year. And just like a successful RBI double, we're heading home.
In the stretch run, and who knows? Next time, we might be saying, we talked about this the last time on Bucco Banter.
Every time.
And maybe next time there'll be 2 games up on the Cardinals. We'll see you next time with a 2 or 3 game lead in the NL Central on Bucco Banter. Thank you for listening and watching Bucco Banter. Be sure to subscribe to our audio podcast and constantly watch us all the time on YouTube. To pose a question, email us at ask@buccobanter.com. See you next time on Bucco Banter. But I need to be on this side to do it this way, to go like this when his mouth is moving.
Look at him in the eye.
Are we?
There.
Well, that's because he likes putting his arm on the table, both arms on the table.
But then you move forward and stay lean back, not you. Inch back where you were. You move your thing forward, but stay lean back in the chair if you don't want to lean up. But have your chair closer to the table.
It is close to the table.
I know.
His stomach's too big.
That's good. That's good. It's bad.
Hey, I'll tell you, I could wash clothes on this stomach.
That should be our bit.
It may be.